Tonight is Ghost Story Night. Join us for the scary stories and our guest host. So grab your proton pack and call Zach Baggins, because tonight we're hunting ghosts.
He's alive! Have you checked the children? Get out!
You have scoured the podcast world and finally found us, Newsworthy with Steve and Jerry, where we delve into all things mysterious, macabre, or out of this world, and decide if they are truly newsworthy. 2 words and 2 question marks.
Why should you work with Ed Locke? A better question is, why wouldn't you work with him? He is proud to support an amazing lender, USA Mortgage.
When you work with them, you can expect a home financing experience that is free of hassles and headaches. They have complete control over your loan due to in-house operations such as processing, underwriting, closing, and funding.
USA Mortgage represents a lot of fantastic things, but they are especially thrilled to partner in several community outreach programs, including Habitat for Humanity, Home Sweet Home, Veterans Community Project, and many, many more. They love going to work every day, which means they love working for you. Ed wants to be your lender for life, so reach out to him today and get the journey started.
If you would like more information, please reach out to Ed Locke at area code 502-680-0953, NMLS 448908, USA Mortgage NMLS 227262. USA Mortgage is an equal housing lender. This is not a commitment to lend. Additional terms and conditions may apply. For licensing information, go to www.nmlsconsumeraccess.org.
Mr. Jerry, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great and getting better.
Sweet. Well, I am too. You know why I'm better?
Why are you better?
Because we have a special guest with
Yes,
us
we do.
tonight. Long story, really short. I had a procedure on my neck last week. Didn't know if I was going to be able to speak, so we invited a guest host. My voice is still kind of So tonight, we are blessed to have
There we are.
Mr. Brett with us tonight. He's going to be sharing some personalized ghost stories, and we're going to get this thing started off right. How you doing, Brett?
I'm doing good.
Good.
Got some big shoes to fill. I've been listening since I think you guys were about 10 episodes in, and I started listening. And
Long
then,
time listener.
yeah, it's kind of been on and off, but
We didn't pay him to say that either. So,
By the way, a little background. He was good friends with one of Steve's sons in high school.
right.
He literally grew up
in my house.
in his house, and Steve and his wife watching him. And that's where I first met you. Very good guy, very smart, intelligent guy.
Oh, yeah.
And when I say smart, I'm not talking,
We don't-
all these kind of maybe iffy. I'm talking this guy literally tutored Calculus 4 in his senior year at UK, and extremely intelligent.
They're
guy.
making me sound way too good.
And
you guys are
we're
giving me.
giving you this because we're not going to say you look really good.
I'm very glad there's no video for sure.
Oh, we wouldn't be this far in if there was video. People would be like suing us and stuff for hurting their eyeballs.
But seriously, we are very grateful to have you here with
I'm
us.
super pumped to be here.
Absolutely. Now, there is a possibility, we wanted Brett to come on in, even though my voice is okay, that I may have to miss due to this issue that I got going on. And anytime I do, Brett's been gracious enough to say, hey, if you need me, I'm here. So I just wanted to introduce him and how things flow. And I just, words can't express what that means to me, because consistency, we've always been consistent with the podcast.
Try to be.
Always. And, you know, we can't control our health all of the time. Sometimes things just happen. And
You and I were just saying a couple of weeks ago that we were surprised that we'd been able to go this long
without
without it, someone having a bad cold,
Right.
flu, something that
That's
would
rare,
prevented
yeah.
this from happening.
Yeah.
For,
So-
what, a year and
Almost
couple
2 years.
months?
Yeah.
Going on 2
And it
years.
seems like consistency is key across the board, and anything like this.
So anyway, Brett's gonna start tonight. Who wants to start tonight? And I'm just kind of here. I'm bonus material today.
Well, I'll start by saying this. I went to a bookstore today, and I was fortunate enough that I saw a book that was entitled "How to End 50% of Your Problems." I bought 2.
Jerry, that is terrible.
I'm in great shape, guys.
That's terrible. You've had a whole week, and that's what you come up with?
Dude, I just got rid of all my problems. How could I be
I mean,
better?
he's got it covered now.
He's got it covered.
He's good.
Life is good.
I can't. I just absolutely cannot believe you spent a week on that.
Really?
That's what you got.
Would you like one of my
No.
tissues?
No, I don't want to be your tissue.
Have my tissue.
Oh man,
You know what?
I wish they could have. You guys need to start, filming the pre-episode and just like have a Patreon where you release the pre-episode of like
there
you
you
guys.
I wonder if the pre-episode would also go into your
Probably.
I mean, at this point, you might as well tell the joke.
I was talking about having a health issue. 6 months ago, I joined a gym,
You did.
but I've had no progress whatsoever.
Okay.
So I figured tomorrow I'm going to go over there and see what the hell the problem is.
Yep, I think you should. I absolutely think you should.
Oh, mercy.
Steve, what are you drinking?
I am drinking sweet red wine as from Oliver Winery. It is smooth and sweet. It's very keen on the sweet side. This is you shouldn't drink this.
Is it sweeter than the Stella Rosa?
Yes, it's much sweeter. Now this is a mass-produced wine, but it's made in Bloomington, Indiana.
Very nice.
Makes me happy. I like
We've had
things when
some
they
of
get
their
close.
wine before. I don't know. if
Yeah,
it's
I don't think it was this
particular type.
flavor, but it's very tasty. And I'm going to see if I can't go ahead and drink a whole bottle. What the hell?
There you go.
Might as well. I mean, what
What
else
are you
got?
drinking tonight?
I'm drinking a
Brett-
man's drink over
Brett
here.
is bucking the curve here.
I'm drinking a man's drink. I'm drinking good old fashioned Kentucky bourbon, made right here in Lawrenceburg, Kentucky. Kentucky Spirit made it Wild Turkey. Yeah. Actually, I have a rule that I can only have 1 shot of bourbon and still drive. But if I have 2 more, I won't. So I actually found out that most reasonable bourbon drinkers, they have this same rule. You want to know why?
Why?
It's 2 whiskey.
Oh, gosh.
I would agree.
Oh,
I would agree.
so here's where I
On
tell
many
the
levels.
people that Brett has almost subbed in for us on numerous occasions. And he's had like 6 months to come up with the stuff that he's got.
2 whiskey. Bit Elmer Fudd, but I like it.
I like Elmer Fudd. Oh, wow.
I do. So today, ghost stories.
Ghost stories. And, we're getting into Halloween, so we're going to have a bunch of ghosts and goblins and kooky stuff. And I know you and I are making some plans to go to a couple of haunted places or spooky places and report back. You're welcome to join us. Brett's got like 723 kids, though, so it's a little more difficult.
Unfortunately, 722.
Oh, 22.
Yeah.
I'm glad you can keep up with them.
Yeah, it's tough.
Did you just start naming them like A, B,
I-
A1, A2?
How'd you know? I mean, that's exactly, yeah.
Being a math guy, I figured.
And you just, every day is a birthday, so you just, flip a coin. It's probably your birthday, isn't it? No, it's,
Seriously though, he does have 3 kids.
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful babies.
I met Brett yesterday. We sat and talked about this show for a few minutes. It was actually the first time I saw you since the beginning of COVID.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I knew that you had 1 kid for sure. I thought I'd heard Steve mention a second. And I mentioned this 2 kids, and Brett's like, no, it's 3 actually.
Yeah, the third one came pretty quick after
Now,
the second one. so.
here's one of my questions.
What's that?
After World War II, we had the boomers because people getting back together. After Vietnam, we had another generation of people getting back together.
Okay.
I wonder, and it never fails, when we have a bad, in Kentucky especially, and we're trapped, up north it really doesn't matter, but when we have a bad winter here, 9 months later, there's a bunch of children.
That's true everywhere.
I wonder if COVID had that same impact because we were all told to stay indoors and stay home.
Well, I think it probably would have, but something prevented that. There was probably a lot more pregnancies. Unfortunately, they were together for so long that there were a lot of murders. So I'm sure that the murders probably outlasted
I got you.
pregnancy. So I'm sure the pregnancy rate probably did not go up.
Yeah, about a month in, they were like, "Don't touch me, don't look at me." Don't.
Actually, I did read, unfortunately, it's true that the abuse rate went up.
Jeez,
Right.
it's crazy.
You don't have a way to get away.
Yeah, there's no getting away. When both of you are, your job's just saying either work from home or there is no job. You're at home 24/7. Yeah. Scary.
Yeah, it's sad. Depression went up. I mean, yeah.
Very sad. But anyway, we are going to be talking about ghosts tonight. I think Brett has a couple of ghost stories that he's going to lead us off with.
Yeah.
If you want,
Yeah,
take
go
it
ahead.
away.
Go ahead and get started. So back in 2006, my grandfather died, and so my grandfather lived in Missouri. So we, our whole family drove up there. We stayed for a couple weeks, and we got there was a lot of things that happened that were very strange, very out of the ordinary. So
Any particular place, like his house or just everywhere?
yeah, at my uncle's house where he stayed a lot of stuff happened there. That was actually that was the majority of where things happened. That was where his car was. That was where his guitar was, which he was, a big guitar player. So, but the first thing that happened, it was right when he died. So my mom and uncle were driving, actually me and my sister in the car, and we were going to visit our family. So basically, they said that there was a big white light that started coming towards their car. And so they kept driving. The white light kept coming closer and closer and closer. And it got to the point where it got so close, they, were like yelling out in fear of, this thing that was coming. And right when it got to the windshield, it disappeared just like that.
Ooh, wow.
So that was the first thing. The second thing, so I mentioned his car was parked in my uncle's house. So we were hanging out a lot then with, the whole family was over there a lot. And we started noticing the car would lock and unlock over and over and over and over again.
Now, is this as you're driving down the road?
No. So his car was parked. So we would just be outside talking, sharing stories.
No one's even in it. It's not.
Nobody's
started,
in it.
engine's
Nobody.
not running.
Right. It's just on and off, on and off, on and off.
Yeah, that's time to move.
And yeah. Well,
Well, I got a good one for you in regards to movement of items and things that it's like almost like they're trying to reach out and grab your attention.
Right.
Hey, I'm here.
100%.
But I didn't interrupt.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good. Yeah, so that was another thing that was going on. And then another thing that was kind of weird, and it actually happened after we had gotten home. We started hearing about it. But my cousin, I'd say he was probably about 3 or 4 at the time. He started telling his parents about seeing a man that was coming to visit him at night, while he was in bed. And he wasn't scared of the man, and he started describing him exactly like my grandfather.
Really?
Exactly like my grandfather.
Wow.
Which I thought was pretty cool. Another thing that happened while I was there, so we were all together. We were in my uncle's house. So this is the same house that the car was parked. We were all, sharing stories about my grandfather. And so this was back in 2006. So my cousin, she had a flip phone. And just randomly, the screen just displayed "thank you" over and over again.
Whoa.
Like just randomly. And she still got a picture of it. I mean, so it's the craziest thing I've ever seen. That was the craziest thing for me that I've experienced personally. It was just nuts. And it was just like she wasn't doing anything. She just opened her phone and there it was.
Go ahead.
The one part about the child describing the man, that reminds me of something you and I have talked about before. I think I actually loaned you or your wife, I remember who was reading it, the book. Do you remember the book Evidence for Real?
I actually still have it.
And they turned that into a movie as well.
Yeah.
But does that not remind you of, you remember the boy talking to his mom and telling her about his sister? And she said, "Oh, you mean your sister, Sally?" And he's like, no, you're my other sister, the one that died in your belly.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Creepy.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Who told you about that?"
Right.
The boy's like 4 years old.
Yeah.
He's like, "She did. I met her in heaven."
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's
That's what that reminds me
incredible. Yeah.
Things like that, I'm getting goosebumps.
Yeah. So they actually had, they had like, they called them Ghostbusters, that came out to the house and was like, "Oh yeah, there's definitely paranormal activity and stuff like that." But it actually, so my grandmother died 6 months later, like almost on the dot, 6 months later. And after she died, everything stopped.
Really?
Everything.
They were back. They were back together.
Everything stopped. Yeah. It was pretty crazy. But
We often talk about theological things, but sometimes I think people just get hung up. They have such a strong. Like, how long were they married?
they were actually divorced.
Really?
But
Well,
so yeah, I guess a little backstory. So they were married. They had 4 kids together. They got divorced. So years down the road, she remarried. He didn't. He was living with her. Like they all lived together.
weird.
My grandmother, my step grandfather, my grandfather, they all lived together. And she always said, even to her current husband, that my grandfather was the love of her life. So like always,
Wow.
even at the funeral, like that's all she would say is, he was the love of my life. He was the love of my life. So, in the family, we just think that he was waiting on her.
Yeah.
To
It's amazing the strength, the power of the soul to cling, to hang on.
yeah.
Because that's just bizarre. I had a similar situation. One of my best friends growing up down in Cynthiana, her nanny and grandfather lived in this house. They lived in a bottom apartment. It was a house that was split into 2 apartments. They lived in the bottom apartment. And when we go to Cynthiana we'll drive past that. I want to show you where it's at. But he passed. And of course, Frances was beside herself. They had spent a umpteen million years together. And the minute he passed, weird stuff started happening. Radio would come on and go off. The radio would be on, but it would change the channel. It would go to the channel he liked, not the channel she liked.
Oh wow.
And I've seen that with my own eyes because Frances was always cooking. She loved to cook a big Sunday dinner, and it was one thing that we always went down and participated in. And sure enough, you'd be sitting there where he was eating one Sunday, and the radio just kicked on, and it was on the wrong channel. So not only did it kick on and changed channel.
Man.
And you would see shadows go across the wall. It was so bizarre.
Isn't that the one I think I heard you tell things would fall out of a cabinet
Yeah.
as well?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like his favorite was, I want to say it was Campbell's tomato soup. It was some sort of Campbell's soup. It was a long time ago, but we would be sitting there and we'd be eating dinner or whatever, and all of a sudden a particular can of soup would fall out of the cabinet. Would be all,
My goodness.
just,
Yeah.
and that continued until she moved into another apartment. Now, it may have continued there, but I doubt it. I kind of think and believe that it's not the person, it's the place. But I don't know. What do you think, Jerry? You're awful quiet.
It's hard for me. And here's why. I have had 0 personal experiences. I've had 0 immediate or close family members who've had anything similar happen. It's not like I don't believe, but it's far different when you have never experienced it and you don't know anyone that has.
Right.
Last night, I got to thinking of some biblical verses that I knew the Bible talked about similar type things. And I looked up, forget the exact Google search, but I was searching, does the Bible mention witches or witchcraft? And there was a long list of examples that come up. And it makes it extremely obvious that in the Bible, this is taught from early on. Just a couple of examples. one in Micah chapter 5, verse 12. He says, I will destroy your witchcraft, and you will no longer cast spells. In 1 Samuel chapter 28, King Saul consulted a medium. She lived in a place called Endor, and she actually summoned Samuel from the dead.
Wow.
So if your question is, do these things exist? The Bible teaches that miracles exist not only from powers of good, not only from Jesus and the apostles, but also that things, black magic existed, witchcraft existed, sorcerers existed. Yes. So what do I think? I think from what you guys are describing that I am extremely glad that I have never had to make the decision of how quickly can I leave this place and never ever return again.
So, but it goes to say, and the same thing has been, even if you take the Bible out of it, which, I'm a big believer of, but you can go all the way back to ancient China, the yin and the yang.
Right.
You can't have good without evil. You can't have light without dark. So, anyway, sorry, we just totally derailed your story there, Mr.
You
Ray.
are well. Actually, it gave me time to look at this verse. So, you were talking about the Bible, talking about this. I know we had talked.
Right.
So this is in Luke 24, chapter 37. My phone would stay there. Okay. So it says, they were startled and frightened, thinking they saw a ghost. He said to them, "Why are you troubled, and why do doubts rise in your minds? Look at my hands and feet. It is myself." Oh, my phone's jacking up.
Is this from when he was walking on the water?
Mm,
It reminded me of that. It may not.
I believe so.
So,
Yeah, Jesus appears to the disciples. So he says, "It is myself. Touch me, my hands and feet. For it is my body. Ghosts do not have a body and are only spirit. A ghost does not have flesh and bones, as you see I have." So Jesus could have said, ghosts, aren't real in this
right.
case.
And he chose not to. He chose
right.
to
He chose
actually describe them.
right. So,
Interesting.
anyways, yeah.
So what are the scary stories do you have for us? You said
Yeah, so I got one more. I know you had mentioned that you don't have any personal stories, but yeah, I have two. So my brother-in-law, this is my wife's brother. So when he was older, as older kids do, they get to go to the basement. They get their own space. So this is exactly what he did. And once he moved down there, he started to see and hear things. So the first thing that he noticed was that he would hear his name yelled. So sometimes it would feel so loud. It would be so loud that it felt like someone was screaming in his ear.
Holy
So it was a
crap.
woman's voice, and he thought it would be like, his mom or his sister. And either nobody was in the house, or when he'd go, check on it, be like, "Hey, did you call for me?" They'd be like, "No, we never said anything." So that was the first thing.
Was that like the beginnings of what he started to experience?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
That's
So-
a hell of a way to start.
Yeah. So that was and I know we talked about this before, but he's told me some stuff. I think he's one of those people that just have, he's experienced like supernatural things in his life. Like I remember he was talking, I'm Catholic, just for background. So, in Catholicism, we have incense. And so he was saying that one time in Mass, he, the incense, the smoke was going up, and he saw a word light up in the smoke. I can't remember what he said the word was, unfortunately, but he would do stuff like that. And he actually almost became a priest, and then met a girl, and you know how it goes. But so, anyways, that was the first thing. It was he started hearing his name yelled, and then one time. The first time he ever saw her was he had woken up, and she was, he'd woken up from hearing his name. She was standing at the end of the bed, just staring at him, and he said that she looked very angry at him. So he turned, tried to turn the light on. As soon as he turned the light on, she was gone. Right.
Whoa.
So, and he was telling, so. He was probably, middle school, high school at this point. if I remember just me being in middle school, high school, if I would have seen that, I would have been freaked out. I would have been out of that room quicker than,
I totally agree with you, except for one. I'll clarify one thing.
Yeah.
Not only was that true in middle school, that would be true today.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
And the only difference is in middle school, I couldn't have said mom and dad were moving.
Right.
Today, I'd be like, I'm out.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm gone.
So, and what he said was he would go right back to sleep. Like he wasn't scared. It was, and that to me is more of a reason to believe that this is actually something going on than just, But anyways, so that was the first time he ever saw her. So
now, when you say her,
he knows it's a woman.
Does he ever find out any stories, any previous history of the house?
No, they
Does
don't.
He have an idea of who she might be.
No, and they sold the house. So actually, I have a story personally that I slept in this room, and I have a story. But anyways, so that was the first time he saw her. He said he was telling me another time that he saw her. So he was sleeping and he was dreaming about having a conversation with her. So in the dream, the ghost had turned on the light, was opening and shutting his drawers that were right in front of his bed. Whoa. And was trying to get him to let someone in. And he kept saying no in the dream. This is a dream. So he kept saying no. She kept saying, she kept trying to get him to let someone in. And finally in the dream, he yelled no. And he woke up. He was sitting up in bed. The light was on and his drawer was open.
Holy fuck.
Yeah. And like I said, he said he wasn't scared then too. He said he went right back to sleep, which in my opinion is crazy. So I'd heard all these stories, and me and my wife actually lived with them for a while, and I stayed in this room. I stayed in it once by myself, and I swear I woke up and I felt like someone was laying in the bed with me. Like I woke up and I like felt something on my back. I turned around and nothing was there.
Oh.
And that was the only experience I ever had that I was like, oh crap, something might be in here. But yeah, so it was pretty crazy.
That is insane.
Least. Yeah.
Wow. See, I think that there are certain people in the world that have, how would you put that?
Right. The supernatural, that somehow they have some sort of connection. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Because I have an aunt that was that way. And I was telling you guys before the podcast, but I want to go ahead and show it because my Aunt Becky's awesome. But if anyone knows my Aunt Becky, then they know she's awesome. But I remember a time very specifically, that I had gotten a promotion and a transfer. No one in my family, no one other than me and the person that offered me the position knew what was happening. And it wasn't, a couple hours later when I got home, she had called and said, "Hey, when were you going to tell us you're moving out west?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And she's
nuts.
like, "I know you're going out west, way out west." And she was right. I was moving at the time. It was the longest corporate move they'd ever done. It was from New Lebanon, Ohio to Salmon, Idaho. And yeah, it was crazy.
I think I need to get her number and ask her what the lottery numbers are going to be.
Dude, she used to be able to freak us out with some of the stuff she could say and tell. And it was intense. And I don't know that she's not in the best of health now these days. Right. I don't know if it's as intense as it was, if her abilities or her powers or whatever, but she was amazing.
Yeah.
Like just the level of knowledge that she would have and feelings that she would have. We'd go into rooms and, back in the day, we always messed around with a Ouija board, okay? And some weird stuff would happen when she was playing on the Ouija board. And I'm not talking about the Ouija board itself. Anybody can guide, I believe. I really believe people can guide that thing, right? The planchette or whatever. But we're talking about candles that we had lit, like all at the same time going down to a particular...
Oh, my God.
A particular size where they're just barely lit, and then poof, go all the way back up.
How many signs did you need to
Right.
play the game?
That's why, yeah. I don't, yeah. So, like I said,
It
I'm
was
Catholic.
creepy.
They like stress, don't mess with Ouija boards, don't mess with tarot cards, because if you're looking, you're going to find something, you know.
Well, I believe you're opening yourself up for that.
100%. Yeah,
You know,
100%.
You're inviting it in.
Exactly.
But I was young and stupid.
Right.
back then,
A
you
lot
know.
of young people do it. I remember
Yeah.
here in Anderson County, actually, a bunch of my friends, they got a Ouija board and they were right in front of the weight room. And, you know, they were messing with it. And they said they saw some stuff. And then they said they like threw it in the garbage or something. But then they said they would go lift and the lights would like flicker on and off. And they started seeing
It was crazy.
it's creepy. Yeah, that's
That-
right.
that
I wouldn't
was-
mess with it.
Like if it was just me, I wouldn't expect y'all to believe me. But there was myself,
Right.
my buddy Dave, my mother, my aunt. I mean, there was a
When you're not the only one who's,
cadre
yeah.
of different people that witnessed
Yeah.
the stuff that happened in the house that night. And the candle thing is something that I will never forget because it wasn't one candle, you know, where a breeze caught it, and we had like 20 candles lit.
And this was your aunt that was doing this?
Yeah.
Oh, my
And
goodness.
her friend Lori, but every single one, it went all the way down to the little wick and just enough light to show that it was still lit. Because we asked for a sign,
I'm out of there.
and then poof, they all went back up as soon as that happened. It
See ya.
was so bizarre.
So, question for you guys.
Sure.
What places would you rather not go? What buildings would you try to stay away from? What of these type of things that we're talking about?
Okay.
What would you try to stay away from?
I'll tell you exactly, and I brought it up on this freaking podcast before. There is one building in this area that I will never step foot in
Really?
again, ever.
See, if you had left out the "I will never step into it," I would have thought it was the one that you and I plan on going to here.
No. I don't want to go back. I drive past this place still because it's on a main highway,
Oh,
and
I know
I
what
get,
you're talking about.
I get the hair on the back of my neck raises, and I get
He's talking
cold.
about a church up in Shelbyville.
Yeah, there's a church in Shelbyville, and I've tried. Other than going to
It's still
church
an active
on
church?
yes. Other than going to church on Sunday and pulling the pastor off to the side to ask him questions, I've called, I've texted, I've emailed trying to get them to respond to me. Because there is no way that they haven't felt something in their youth center. That it's the little outbuilding.
So it's just that one building.
It's a small former like ranch style house that they use for a youth center or a young kid center. Me and the guy that I was working with at the time, Jason, we went in. We were going to put floor mats down. We worked in that industry: floor mats, towels, that kind of stuff.
Airmark type company.
Yeah, like an Aramark or whatever. And we go into this place, and Jason and I are both like, we walk in and we're like, just stop. And we're like, look at each other. We don't say a word. And we start putting the mats down because they had several. That's how we knew it was a youth center because the mats covered most of the floor,
right.
you know, for spills or whatever. And we got about halfway done, and Jason's like, dude, did you feel that? And I'm like, yes. And it was a darkness.
You guys were in there by yourself?
Yes.
And this is a church.
This is
a
a-
large church.
Yeah.
They're a youth center.
Yeah.
How could you?
It was so dark. It weighed. It felt like, have you ever slept with a weighted blanket?
Oh, yeah.
It felt the darkness.
Well, usually you feel
Felt.
cold. I've heard you like feel cold and like get goosebumps and
Look,
stuff.
I'm just
Oh, my
telling you the story. I'm serious. It was so, Ramona's outside chasing a possum or something. I apologize if you hear in the background. The weight of the darkness in this room.
That's scary.
What we ended up doing, and I shit you not, we threw the rugs and the towels in the middle of the floor, and we bolted. We didn't saunter. We didn't leisurely walk back to the truck. We ran back to the truck and peeled tires as we
The fact that you both felt it too.
yeah, it was absolutely. And it wasn't like we were talking about that until after the fact, because on that same route is this old hospital that's been converted into other stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we went to the hospital and went nothing. We was like, well, if anything, you would have thought we'd have found something there,
Right.
right? But it was not. It was at the church youth center. And dude, it felt like you could fall into the darkness and never come out.
It'd be awesome to
just
see the
can't
history on that house
Oh, I
or
would
the
love
building.
to. I would love to. I would love
Now,
to.
how far back was this? How many years ago, roughly?
10 years ago.
Okay.
Wow.
Were
Maybe
you,
10 years ago.
had you, I don't want to throw you under the bus,
No, you
but
do
I
whatever.
think you've told me many times that there was a period in your life when you certainly weren't where you are now. You go to church and you were a good
No,
moral
I was
person.
still there.
And the other dude.
You were,
Yeah.
okay.
In fact, Jason and I had been talking about. Sorry, I just finished my bottle of wine. Thank you, Brett.
Yeah, no problem.
So we had been talking about church and things like that most of the morning. You know, it was a very
Right.
light-hearted day.
It's not like you were messing with Ouija boards.
No.
Right.
The Ouija boards was back 30, 40 years ago when
Right.
I'm like 15,
Yeah, right.
20, somewhere in that ballpark.
Do you know where I was coming from with my question?
Sure.
I was thinking maybe this was back in your wilder days,
Mm-mm.
and it was the fact that you were the dark going into the light. That was the problem.
No.
I was thinking maybe it was the
Well,
other end of the spectrum saying,
Right.
you should not be here.
that I was corrupting the church. I got you. No, it wasn't like that. To be honest, it was. I had probably I'd been married for about 3 years, so it was probably 10 years ago.
Well, even before you got married,
Yeah.
you were on the right path. So
Yeah.
that was
Dude, I'll never go back to that place. You couldn't. I was on the bike the
Dude, I
other
drove
day,
past it.
and I told you the other day I was going to stop and get a picture, and I just couldn't pull myself to pull in the parking lot because there was a car pulling out, and I was like, they're going to think I'm weird,
Oh,
and
yeah,
if
you're
something
showing up,
happens,
taking a
I'm going
picture.
to die, and no one's going to be here.
I don't know if you heard it. One of the early episodes we did, we discussed this, and he promised that he would try to get a hold of them to see if other things had happened. He's tried numerous times.
Yeah.
They have
Yeah,
not
they won't
returned
say-
his phone call.
And that's for a church, you would
maybe,
think.
but
But-
if you got a phone call saying,
That's true. Yeah, that's
they're
true.
like, no, you crazy idiot.
Right. Yeah. You don't want, and
Yeah,
they
if you
probably
talk
don't
to
want that
them-
to get out either. You know.
I'm sure.
Oh, by the way, we're going to put your kids in the haunted hell of my house.
Yes. So I can see why they wouldn't
Oh
be.
man.
They're probably thinking that we're some crazy, Satanist that wants to
Right.
see if
Shut
we
down
can
their
have
church.
meetings
Yeah.
in the building or something. So who knows? Brett, Steve told the place that he would stay away from. Anything that comes to mind that you would want to stay as far away from as possible.
I mean, I don't have anything in particular. I guess, everybody thinks insane asylums always like freak people. That would freak me out. I've seen some of those ghost shows where I saw this one where this dude was in an insane asylum. They spent the whole night there. And I guess the doctor that was there was known to do this procedure where he, I guess, put a needle through their eye to yeah, and went through their brain. And so this dude started feeling his eye was burning. And I was like, man, I would have been out of there in an instant. I don't know. So insane asylums, I guess, would always kind of freak me out. But anything that's haunted, I'd probably steer away from, to be honest. Just
We have
Cover
a
my
lot
bases.
of places here
Yeah.
in Kentucky that are beyond the pale. In Indiana, for instance, we have a covered bridge. And I'm sure wherever there's a covered bridge, there's a covered bridge story. But in this particular story, you go up to the bridge at night, at midnight, honk 3 times, flash your lights 3 times, and you'll see a girl in a white dress hanging. Never saw that.
wait, where's this?
It's
It's
Indiana.
Indiana?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
How-
We're going
However-
to see that when we go for the other.
If you'd like to, sure.
Okay.
Um,
You
Okay,
can
my
so
picture.
people say they can just see it.
Yeah, I mean the covered bridge is still there. So you go up at midnight, you flash your lights 3 times, you honk 3 times, you turn your lights back on, and she's hanging from the bridge.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know that I've ever seen that, but what I
I think
do
you would
know,
know if you had saw it.
yeah, what I do know is that's a great place to scare people who are trying to do that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I guarantee. Wait, so actually, you asked me that question. One just came to mind. So we went to when my wife and I got married. We went to Edinburgh, Scotland. That was one of the places we visited.
Also, just for the record, I heart Brett's wife. So,
Yeah. So,
She's a
anyways,
wonderful
we went
person.
to. She's all right. No, I'm just kidding. I love you. All right. Anyways, so we went to Edinburgh, Scotland, and one of the things that you can do there, there's a cemetery there that's haunted, and they give guided tours at night. So we were staying with a family there in Edinburgh through Airbnb, and they were saying that they had friends that went through there, and a lot of them were saying they came out of there with like bite marks, with like cuts on their that they were like, I have no idea where this came from. That's a place I would not go.
If you want to talk about things like that, our guest in just a couple of weeks, Jerry, is going to talk about the Anderson Hotel.
Yeah.
Here, very local, that those types of things have not only been reported, they've been documented.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
No thanks.
can't wait.
And you and I plan on
That's going to be awesome, though. That's good. I mean,
Yeah, I can't wait to have Jeff on.
and
So,
the fact that it's local is
yeah,
pretty cool.
it's awesome.
I
So,
think he mentioned earlier.
what about you, Jerry? You've asked us both
Yeah.
places that you.
There is no place in the world that I know of that I would be afraid to go and spend the night alone.
What about that island where if you get, the helicopters come by and they throw like arrows at it?
That's not where I thought you were going at all.
Me either. For some reason, I thought it was
You become a shrunken head. It's in a museum or something.
There is no place. Now, with that being said, I will add this one caveat. If something were to happen, I'm the first one. I'm the first one that's gone. I might nudge somebody else if they're there and say, it's time to get the hell out of Dodge. I'm not waiting to see if they're coming. If something does
There's
happen,
no place you would not go. Like even that island that he just mentioned.
again, I've never had any experience. No one that I know in my family has had any experience.
Is it the fact that you don't believe that?
It's not that I don't believe. I do believe it. I believe the Bible teaches that it's been here since the
Right.
beginning of the earth.
But it
But
doesn't.
Jerry's
It
a
doesn't.
facts guy. This is why
Right.
we get along so
He's got to experience the.
I need to see some proof. And when Steve is talking about the documentation,
So you would still go there though.
he and I are both going. to
Well,
this
that's awesome.
hotel.
Awesome.
We're going to go to.
We're going to spend a couple of nights just touring a bunch of
Wow.
scary stuff for the podcast.
And there is no place that I know that I wouldn't go. And
I might even take him to the church, just not to go in, but to drive
I have
there.
no
and
problem
just,
going in the church.
Like, do you
Stop.
feel that feeling when you drive by the church?
dude, every time.
Really?
Every
the fact that
time.
nobody else. I mean, people obviously go there, So.
Yeah,
It's a large church.
Right.
I'm guessing a few hundred people. It's
Yeah.
a very large
Wow.
church. They have a separate, good size home that probably, as close as it is, was once used as a parsonage. I'm guessing
yeah.
that has been converted to the youth center.
It's dude. If you ever want to just,
Yeah. No.
I'd be happy
Yeah.
to take you. After off the air, I don't want to disparage the church. I don't want the people.
Right. Yeah. Right.
So,
Right.
so I'm not going to give their name.
No. Yeah.
But
yeah.
after the show, I'll be happy to give you the name, and you'll be able to look it up and be like, "What the?" Because
Right.
the house is so unassuming.
You can actually look it up on Google Street
Yeah.
View and see the building.
Well, I wonder if you could look up how old that building is. I'm sure you could.
I mean, I'm a realtor, so I'm pretty.
Yeah, right.
good at
You
judging
could
that.
definitely. Yeah.
Mid 70s probably is when it was built, just by the
That's it?
architecture. Yeah,
Oh,
It's not an old home. It's a brick.
yeah, it's a brick
home.
ranch.
A
Yeah.
modern style brick ranch.
Yeah.
Sure, I'm sure it's going to have kitchen and living room on one end.
Right.
And
Well,
all
it's
the way
good.
into
I mean,
bedrooms.
it's all open
Oh,
in the
okay.
center because
Okay.
it's been
Right. Modified, probably. Yeah.
But yeah, at some point it probably did.
Yeah, just an old style ranch.
So anyway, you don't have any place at all.
None.
None. So you go
Yet.
to like
Yet. Maybe the Anderson Hotel
It's
is
not
going to be at.
Not going to happen. Here's the deal. Steve is saying that it is documented with all these horrible bad things. I'm sure there have been bad things reported. Here's my question. If that many people had literally come away physically injured,
they shut it down for a long time.
how are they still doing tours?
They just restarted 2 years ago.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah,
So,
what
so
time?
how long? What was how long was their break?
like 5-6 years. We'll ask Jeff when he comes on the show.
You're right,
It was a good long time. Like ownership changes, I believe.
But why would you ever change that? If people were getting physically hurt at this location when they went in to visit,
People want to go through that.
Right.
I'm not saying
People will
let
pay
people
big
go.
money to do
I'm
something.
saying, how could you convince someone to think this is a good business opportunity? Need some more wine here?
You need
No,
some
I guess
bourbon?
not.
You need some Hair on your chest?
No, I don't want any hair on my chest. Thank you.
Mr. Steers, kill that bottle of wine.
Yeah, it's gone.
But no, there is nowhere that I know of in the world that I would be afraid
So-
to go.
Where would you be?
Well, I'm
Where
going
would
to cover.
you want to go to see if you can get an experience?
You know, Brett had some great personal stories to tell. I have none,
Sure.
as I've said. So what I'm going to be doing is covering some places in Kentucky that are known to be scary type places. First of all, before I go down that road, for anyone who's interested in this type topic, there is a Facebook group in this area called the Paranormal Researchers of the Bluegrass. I would strongly recommend you check them out.
I would really like to get one of them on the show as well.
We plan on doing it. Steve, hold on one second, if you would, just 1 second. These guys are very active on Facebook. They have a Facebook group, an Instagram group, a YouTube presence as well. And Steve also asked that I not forget his favorite, TikTok. They're also on TikTok. So just wanted to mention that. Their main home is on
TikTok
Facebook.
is the devil.
Their main home is on Facebook. They currently have over 1,000 members. And if you're interested in anything related to this in Central Kentucky, it's a very good group for that. The first place that I'm going to mention is because of the group that I just mentioned. The Murray Station Homestead in Brooksville, Kentucky, which is up north next to the Ohio River. Crazy things have been reported there for a long time. The place is a 1700 era cabin and slave quarters. Been around that long. Everything from desks to shadowy figures that keeps appearing, faces in windows, full body apparitions. Mike and Chris from the Travel Channel's Haunted Towns did an episode there. The reason that I'm mentioning this is 10 days, today's the 20th, right? 10 days from
It is,
today,
yeah.
September the 30th, the Paranormal Researchers of the Bluegrass, in conjunction with Haunted Journeys, are going to be hosting what they are calling, I have no idea the validity of this, but they are calling it the world's largest ghost hunt. 10 days from today at the Murray Station Homestead in Brooksville, Kentucky. Saturday,
Ooh.
September 30th of this year.
Oh,
Wow.
I wish we could go to that. You know why we can't go to that though, Jerry?
Why?
Because on September or October the 1st at 4 a.m., I'm going on vacation.
That's a good reason.
Yeah.
The next place that I'm going to mention earlier, when you asked if there's any place that I might be afraid of to go to, I'm sure you guys have heard of the Waverly Hills Sanatorium in Louisville.
Oh, yeah.
If there's one place that has received an absolute frick ton of publicity in this area for this type of haunting, would be the Waverly Hills Sanatorium. With good reason. The Ghost Hunters TV show called it one of the most haunted hospitals in the eastern United States. It was also featured on the Family Channel's Scariest Places on Earth. It is a massive 5-story hospital that was built in 1926 that we used to house the tuberculosis patients in Louisville. It has been described as one of the most terrifying buildings in America. Another source said that the souls trapped in Waverly Hills have tormented visitors for decades. And that's a lot of souls. It's believed that almost 50,000 people died in this building. 50,000. A lot of people
Jeez.
have
That's
died.
ridiculous.
So many died that they built a 537-foot body chute tunnel to be able to get dead people out without destroying the morale of the patients.
Now, was that during the time as a tuberculosis hospital?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, so you say 50,000. So I think of a hospital. Surely a lot of people die in a regular hospital now. So,
Sure.
you know, I mean, you probably don't. You might not know, but
I'll
I wonder what like a normal hospital that's been open, 20 years or something. How many deaths that they would have
Yeah.
experienced?
Well, when you think about 50,000, if you want to divide that by 20 years, that's 2,500 per year. So that's 8 per day.
That's a lot. I mean, I don't know. I'm
8
not.
people per day.
I mean, that's a lot.
Every day,
Yeah.
every week, every month.
So in 2018,
Okay.
the percentage of all of death from all causes that occurred that occurred in a hospital was 35.1%. At most of those are prevented at just 22,000 a year.
35% of what?
Well, it doesn't say. The death rate is 30 of
all
total
patients?
Yeah.
35% of everyone who walks in a hospital dies?
That's what it
I'm not going
says.
to the hospital. For any reason.
It says, and this is and I
I only have
Googled
a
this.
64.9% chance of walking out.
Well, Jerry, you're sexy, so you'll get it right.
Well, that's-
In 2000, and here's a little. That's not really a good number either. Let's just
Just,
let's not answer
stay away
this
from
question.
hospitals.
Let's just stay. No, I don't like this because
I would be curious though to see, like, because 50,000 sounds like a lot, but I wonder just what normal hospitals experience.
Well, again,
I think that would.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, hospitals today are not generalized. Most hospitals are very open. They have lots of things that they do.
Right,
You have your critical patients, your emergency patients, your ICUs,
right.
and your general, your I went into
And this
surgery,
wasn't a
so
general hospital. It was
Right.
a sanatorium.
Right, right.
People
All they
go there to
did
die.
was
Basically.
keep tuberculosis patients. And at the time, it had almost a 100% mortality rate. No one lived through it. They didn't have it.
Okay.
Yeah.
It didn't
Yeah, this is
close
very
until
different
the
then,
60s
yeah.
when
Yeah.
they come out with antibiotics and were able to successfully treat it. Before that, 99.9% of people, if you've got tuberculosis, you're going to die.
Do you want to know a fun fact?
Sure.
I actually test positive for tuberculosis every time I do
It's
the
not
test.
that.
Really?
Yep. I have. It's not active disease, but
Antibodies.
I have the antibodies. Probably they suggest from when I used to 100 years ago drive a school bus.
Wow.
Yep.
So every time,
I don't even have to take the test now. They'll give me a paper.
it never goes away?
No, until I
Is that normal?
see. Well, no, you can take the antibiotics like Jerry was talking about, but my body rejected the antibiotics. They would literally every time I took a dose, it put me to sleep for 4 hours every single time. So I couldn't take the antibiotics. But
Yeah.
I don't have active disease. I can't give you
Right.
tuberculosis,
Yeah.
But I do test positive every single time.
Right.
So, if there's one place I would probably want to stay away from, it would probably be this one. Having said that, this year they are having an antique car show on September the 30th from 9 to 3 p.m. They are billing it as the first annual Ghost Town Gathering. There's going to be an antique car show at Waverly
Christine gonna be
Sanatorium. I would probably go there for that. Do it.
Christine going to be there?
Is Christine? I don't know, but if she is, I'm definitely going to be there. If I find out Christine's going to be there. Absolutely. Stephen King's Christine.
Oh, yeah.
Who would possibly miss that? One more quick one. Bobby Mackey's Music World. It was
Oh,
dubbed the most
dude.
haunted nightclub in America. It's built in Newport, Kentucky. It was originally a slaughterhouse and meatpacking facility. In the lowest part of the building, they had dug a well, a deep well, and they were using that to hold the blood, guts, and the waste from slaughtered animals. Some researchers today believe
Makes
that
me want to be
after the
vegetarian.
slaughterhouse was closed, and that happened in the 1890s, that satanic cult activity took place in the building around the well, that animals and possibly humans were being sacrificed during secret meeting. The slaughterhouse was demolished in the early part of the 20th century, and the lot sat empty until the 20s, when the current building was erected that served as a casino and nightclub. In the 1950s, Johanna, a dance hall girl and the daughter of the nightclub's owner, fell in love with the singer. Her father refused to allow it. He knew some people in the mafia. He had him killed.
Oh, wow.
When his daughter found out, I've skipped the part that she was pregnant and intended to run off with him. But anyway, when she discovered what had happened, she poisoned her father and then committed suicide in the basement of the building. Since that time point, the building has supposedly been haunted by her.
Dude,
Johanna is still
I
in the
have
building.
seen things about Bobby Mackey's that makes me want to go because there is so much activity at Bobby Mackey's.
This is the first time I've heard of it.
It is
Really?
still
Yeah.
an ongoing nightclub. You can
Yeah.
go there on Friday, Saturday nights, and it is a open nightclub. Bobby Mackey
This is in
still
Newport?
plays there in
Yeah.
Newport.
Wow.
Want to go?
They also have ghost tours throughout the week. So,
Wow. A ghost story. Oh, wow. That's
We
amazing.
gotta go. I'm serious. We got to go to
I
Bobby.
would-
Newport's a
absolutely
cool
go.
city, so
Listen, Bobby Mackey's been on all the big shows.
oh, sure.
It's been on all the haunted shows, all the big paranormal
Right.
research teams have been
Yeah.
there. I just feel like that's the place we gotta go.
Their motto: "Come for the ghost, stay for the music."
What a
Nice.
That is their motto. So
What a motto.
that's the places that I would be less apt to go. I still would
Chicken.
not stay away from. No, I'll go.
So you would still go though. You
I
would
would spend the night in any of these places.
you would spend the night.
in the
So
sanatorium.
I'm pretty doesn't the Waverly Hospital they
think
let
they
you
used
spend the
to.
night, and then if
You
you
could rent the place out.
make so what I heard was if you
They
I,
run different.
I've not looked at
promotions.
this in a long time. This is probably in high school when I heard this, but they let if you spend the night and you make it through the whole night, you don't have to pay.
That's not a current promotion.
Okay. Yeah, this might have been. I got it from high school students. So
Brent's old.
yeah, I'm old. So.
He's old. What the hell are we?
Oh,
Double
speak
his
for
age.
yourself. I am young and spry and full of vigor.
Sure.
That's the 3 kids. They just age you faster.
They sure do. I know all about that. 5 will age you even faster. I'm just saying.
So we're gonna go visit all of them. Spend the night there.
Maybe we can get Brett to one at least.
I'd
How
love
many of you
to.
guys would be willing if we could come up with something like Brett was talking about? How many of you guys would be willing to go to Waverly Sanatorium and spend the night?
Absolutely. I mean, 100%.
I could be talked into it.
I mean,
I could be talked into it.
I can't guarantee that you wouldn't be in your cot with me and Brett.
We're just gonna be a sandwich.
You mean the meat of a Brett Steve sandwich?
I don't know how you got volunteered for the middle, but there you go.
Well, because he's not scared. He's
Yeah, that's right.
Pretty sure I don't have enough
That's
tissue
probably not
for
the
this.
right. I'm glad.
You almost have to do the joke now.
Do what? What joke?
Yeah.
It's a joke?
See, all the people who are gonna pay Patreon fees,
Well-
they'll know.
Before we go, I do want to say again, thank you, Brett, for being here with us
Absolutely.
tonight.
We do
I had a blast. Yeah.
We appreciate you, and I hope that you're not needed, but you are always welcome.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If that
Anytime
makes
you all
sense.
want me, yeah, for sure.
We do this every Wednesday night, so you're welcome to join us at any time. But thanks again, for being willing to stand up at short notice, saying, "Hey, I'm in." So
Absolutely.
that really helps us here at Newsworthy, and yeah, stick around. Man, that episode is really interesting. And if you'll stick around for us for just a few commercials, we have another great story to tell you.
Hi, this is Ed Locke with USA Mortgage. When it comes to buying a home, the process can be overwhelming and confusing. With so many options, it can be hard to know where to start. That's why it's important to work with a certified mortgage loan originator. I have the knowledge and expertise to guide you through the process and find the best mortgage option for you. I will work with you every step of the way to ensure that you are getting the best deal possible. So if you're looking to purchase or refinance, please reach out to me at 502-680-0953. So don't take on the stress of buying a home alone. Work with me and I will make your dream a reality. Trust the professionals and make your home buying experience a positive one. MLS ID 448908, DAS Acquisition Company, LLC, doing business as USA Mortgage, MLS ID 227262. This is not a commitment to lend. Additional terms and conditions apply. USA Mortgage is equal housing opportunity.
If you want us to review or rate your product on air, if you have suggestions for new episodes, awesome ghost stories, or anything else, please reach out to us. Our email address is newsworthyWithSteveandJerry@gmail.com. Our text number is area code 540-709-1318.
And now, back to the story. Getting ahead and more. The next time you're in the vicinity of Covington, Kentucky, which is just across the river of Cincinnati, head on over to the Behringer Crawford Museum, a small but amazing place that features all sorts of natural wonders and curiosities. There's a hairball taken from the stomach of a cow, a striking two-headed calf in all its taxidermy glory, a giant elk, and a stuffed specimen of a now extinct miniature breed of English Terrier. But what really packs them in, however, isn't all of that. It's the museum's exhibit of a real human shrunken head. Such heads seem to only be in the hands of private collectors or museums these days. So if you're in town, take advantage of this rare opportunity to see a bona fide, legitimate freak of nature. The museum in Covington is located at 1600 Montague Road, and it was expanding both space and exhibit-wise when this article was written. So before you show up, make sure you call them to make sure what's open and if it's open. That's over in Covington, Kentucky. So cool place to stop in and say, hey, tell them you heard about it on Newsworthy. 2 words, 2 questions. And Jerry, if you can't see the light,
Be the light.